Scott McNair, injury attorneys, we fight for the win.
All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Overrule Podcast, brought to you by the Scott McNair Law Firm. This is your host, David McNair, without Brad Scott today, but I am joined by a good friend of mine and colleague in the legal community here, Mrs. Lauren Pilié. Lauren, thank you so much for being on Overruled.
You're welcome. Good morning.
Well, Lauren, first I was hoping you could tell everybody a little bit about you. Obviously, we've been professional colleagues and friends for years now. We have just were mentioning all air talking about Greg, but met you through Greg, and have really enjoyed getting to know you throughout the years. And so, but I was hoping you could just introduce yourself to our listeners and tell everybody a little bit about you.
Happy to. So I'm Lauren Pilié. I am a personal injury lawyer in New Orleans. I've been practicing personal injury law for 13 years. I've been a lawyer for 18. So I did a little defense work before that, before I switched sides. And after I switched, I found my niche. I've loved it ever since.
Yeah. What kind of defense were you doing in those 5 years, Lauren? Like, were you defending insurers traditionally, or it was all insurance defense?
I'm originally from Georgia.
Okay.
So after I graduated from law school, I worked at an insurance defense firm outside of Atlanta. And it was tough. I mean, it's a rat race in Atlanta. It's a lot different practice there than it is in New Orleans. I much prefer it here. And I represented all the major carriers. We were outside counsel. So any cases that had an issue, had a problem, needed to be tried, that was what we got.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was actually there, got a chance last minute a month ago to go to the Masters with my dad. And I thought that it was dangerous driving on the highway in New Orleans, but driving through Atlanta, I'm like, I understand why there's such a large personal injury industry here, because it's like 18-wheeler going to run over anybody any minute.
And there's traffic 24 hours a day.
Yeah. So I'm sure you were pretty busy. So you moved to Louisiana and you went plaintiff from defending insurance companies for 5 years. And you had been with Morris Bart for many, many years. Was your entire career over the 13 years you've been representing plaintiffs at Morris Bart? Is that where you started in the state? Okay.
Yeah, when I moved to Louisiana, I was applying for jobs, and I got an offer from a defense firm, and I got an offer from Morris Bart. And I ended up going with Morris Bart, and I wasn't sure how it was going to be to change sides because defense was all I knew.
Yep.
And I took the leap, and I went with the firm, and I loved it. It ended up being a great experience. I had so many opportunities, and that was where I learned how to do plaintiff's work.
What is it about plaintiff work that you think that made you like it immediately? Because it was like was it like this drastic difference from when you were defending an insurance company to representing an individual person? Or what were some of the things that made you immediately like it and gravitate towards being a plaintiff lawyer?
Well, my clients were people, and I'm a people person, and I love to connect with my clients. I'm a problem solver. They had problems. I could fix them. That felt very good. And I always joke and say, no one hates insurance companies more than their lawyers.
Yeah.
Like, it is miserable working for insurance companies. If you do a good job, then they're upset that you cost them too much money in saving them money, that you would constantly have to work for free, cut your bills. I had to write reports all the time to justify why I wanted to do something in a case. It's a lot of reporting and paperwork and red tape and not getting paid for things that you do.
Yeah.
It was just miserable.
Yeah, we just like me, I'm sure you have many friends who are defense lawyers who represent insurance companies. Have many friends who do that. Fantastic lawyers, by the way, a lot of them. And I do many times sympathize with them over a bourbon or a glass of wine, listening. They have a very hard job.
Yes.
Their rates, in some ways I think about it similar like the medical industry. Like a lot of times they bill 10 hours to do something. And they're like, you should have done that in 4. And
Yes.
They won't pay them for 6 hours of work. And so it becomes this like game of like, how do they actually get paid for their work, which can be demoralizing. And then you've probably heard all the stories of like very good defense lawyers who go to trial in a case that it's a hotly contested liability case, and maybe they'll win and get a 0 verdict, and so the plaintiff gets nothing. And that was probably let's say that was the right result, that plaintiff should not have gotten anything. And they'll be excited, and the insurer's like, well, what are you excited about? You did your job. And
Yes.
I do feel some level of empathy, don't you, for them? Like it's kind of like a hard job that they go through on a day-to-day basis.
You never feel like you really win.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of demoralizing.
And for you now, you get to actually help individual people. So like, what are some of the cases that kind of, without disclosing confidentiality, but what are some of the interesting cases you've had over the years, 18 years now? I'm sure there's some that kind of stick out in your brain, or those that maybe kind of made you the lawyer you are today, 18 years out.
Over the years, you develop special relationships with some of your clients. And so I can still think, even back 13 years ago, with people that I represented, they just kind of have a special place in your heart. And there was one client, I had her maybe 4 or 5 years ago. She was disabled, and she had a disease similar to like muscular dystrophy. It was much more nuanced than that, but it manifested sort of that way, where it was muscular. She had trouble walking, and she was crossing this little tiny street in Amite and was hit as a pedestrian by a doctor.
Oh, wow.
And the doctor tried to leave the scene.
Oh, wow.
Thank the Lord, there was a police officer coming the other way that saw the whole thing. And the doctor originally said that she darted out in front of him.
And the cop witnessed the whole thing.
Cop witnessed everything.
That's very rare, too.
Yes.
As you know.
Yes. We were so fortunate that had happened. And the doctor said she darted out because at the time he didn't know what kind of condition she had. And this is a 25-mile-an-hour, 2-lane road.
Right.
So we go through the case, did many focus groups. You and I have talked about focus groups before. And we got her a great recovery. And the thing that just I loved so much was she lived with her grandmother because she was disabled.
Yeah.
And she ended up with her settlement. She bought the property next to her grandmother's house and built is in the process of building a handicapped accessible house so that she can live by herself for the first time in her life.
That's incredible.
And I'm so happy for them.
Yeah. And one of the things we talked about defense lawyers too is like at least on our side, we see a lot of lazy plaintiff lawyers and a lot of plaintiff lawyers who don't always do the right thing or work the case up appropriately to protect each individual client. I know that's not you. I know how hard you work and how diligent you are in every file. What kind of drives you? What are some of like the daily things that you use to motivate you in a work ethic? Is it just one of those things that like you believe you were born with the work ethic that you have, or do you work on it? I'm curious.
I think I was born with it.
Yeah.
I've been working since I was 12.
Yeah.
And, I was managing a plumbing company when I was like 18.
Wow.
I've always liked to work. I've always been good at it. I've always taken a lot of pride in doing a good job and finding a way to do a job better. I think that's one of the things that has been one of the reasons I've been so successful on the plaintiff side is figuring out how to do it well without doing all the things. Because you can't do every single thing in every single case. But once you learn which buttons to push and what's going to make the other side squirm and where your pain points are, you can really do a great job on a case efficiently.
100%. And different than the defense side, right? Which is there's a different strategy on both sides of the case. But one of the things that I talk to the lawyers about here all the time, which I love about what you just said, is like, how do we get to the result as quickly as possible for the client in the most efficient way possible?
Yes.
Because the clients, they don't want, if somebody's listening to this and they're in a car accident, they don't want to be dealing with the case for 3 years, which is what a lot of times, unfortunately, is the goal of the other side, is to delay it, to get them to a point to where they would take something that is probably less than what their injuries are worth, because they're just like, I want to be done with it. And so it does become this strategic game of, how do I strategically do the important things and move the case forward as quickly as possible,
right,
and not do the things that would be distractions and waste time?
Exactly.
What other jobs did you do before you were a lawyer, besides being a plumber?
I've had a myriad of jobs. In college, I was a mechanic.
Nice.
And I've gotten more mileage out of that job as an adult than I ever thought I would. I just got the job because I liked cars. I wanted to learn more about them. There was a mechanic shop close to my apartment. It was the funnest job. I had a great time doing it. And I didn't think at the time of all the life skills I was building in working a blue-collar job.
Yep.
When I would later turn into a white-collar professional.
Yep.
But that was invaluable experience.
Yeah, I think that's a great lesson. Like, we never know what we're doing younger that is going to end up informing us in our careers later on. I was just texting my nephew the other day about that. And he's 12, or Brady's 15. I was way off. But kind of like telling him some stuff about that kind of thing. But I'm curious, we're getting to graduation season now, Lauren. We're in May. What are some of the lessons that you've learned, or maybe 1 or 2 or 3 suggestions you'd give to younger lawyers who are just coming out of law school now, or just in their first year or 2 out? Like, what are some of the things that you did that you think helped you develop this very good skill set that you have developed over the years early on in your practice?
My best advice would be to do the scary things.
Yeah.
At my defense firm in Atlanta, I got great experience there. And one of the reasons is because They made me try my first case 2 weeks after I got my bar results. I was terrified.
Yeah.
But what a way to start. And then you do it and you do it again. And then by the time you do it a few times, it's not as scary anymore. And you develop confidence. And it's hard to do scary things. But that is probably the biggest thing that's going to set people apart is taking the opportunities when you see them and jumping on them, even if you don't know how to do it, even if you don't know the area of law, like learn it.
Yep.
And figure it out and be there so that you can show up when you have a chance to shine.
That's a great piece of advice. I mean, and one of the ways I try to think about it too is most of the things we've never done before are scary because you've just never done them before.
Exactly.
Right? Like if me and you were getting wheeled into surgery, we're terrified, right?
Yes.
But the surgeon's like showing up with a coffee because the surgeon just does that all day, every day. No different than when our clients walk into a deposition. They're scared because they've never been under oath in a deposition before. But for us, we're like, we've been in 1,000
Yes.
depositions, right? And so if I had the same experience, which is my boss right out of school let me just start doing everything because he didn't want to do it anymore.
Right.
So I've tried 40 cases now between arbitrations, judge trials, jury trials. And I still get nervous for all of them, but I'm not.
That never goes away.
That never goes away, which is a good thing, I think,
Yes.
right? Because you want to be prepared. But I'm not scared to do it anymore because I've just done it all. So you just
Yes.
know it. And so it's like, I think it's great advice that you're telling like younger lawyers, like, don't not do it. That's
Yeah.
the worst thing you can do because just doing it, even if you do it bad a couple of times,
Right.
will make you get better at it, right? What else early in your career besides that do you think really helped you develop into the litigator you are now?
I think having just a constant desire to get better.
Yep.
And everybody's all eager when they get out of law school.
Yep.
But you can see over the years, the passion fades, the drive dissipate, and a lot of lawyers just kind of end up in a bit of a lull. And it's like a slump, and that's just their careers for their whole lives. And it's sad to watch.
Yeah.
I never had that, and I'm so grateful. I have always networked with other people, gone to continuing education that is on topic. Like, don't go to the free one where you're just learning all these areas of law that you don't care about. Like, find your niche and go learn about it.
Yep.
And when you do that, you're going to be in a room with other people that care about what you care about.
Yep.
And then you meet great people, and some of them become your mentors, some become your friends. And it keeps you going.
Yeah.
And then you want to get better because they're better, and you can see things that they're doing. And I copy other people all the time.
Yep. You should.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's no, like, uniqueness of anything. It's like you find people who've done something well, right? And, like, make it your own way and do it your own way. But I also think it's great advice to anything in life, not just to practice the law, what you just talked about, because, you know, I've lost cases. We lose cases as lawyers. And the big thing is, like, staying steady and being consistent. It's no different than, like, you want to try to go to the gym every day. You want to try to eat healthy generally. You want to do some of these consistent things well. And, like, in practice, I always try to tell the young lawyers now, because, like you said, they come out the gate hot.
Yes.
Right? They're like, I want to work 80 hours a week. I'm like, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Like, practice is about learning. It's about development. And you're going to be doing this for a long time. So, like, it does need to be steady over time. But what I want to now talk about and shift gears, Lauren, is you had been at Morrisburg for like 13 years.
Yes.
You're a long time. For as long as I've known you, you've been there. And been one of the top lawyers over there. And very recently, 7 days ago, is that right?
8, maybe.
8?
Yeah. It's new.
You took a leap and you're going out on your own.
I did.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about that and what motivated that decision and just kind of tell us a little bit about that. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
I already told you privately.
Yes. Thank you. So now I have to take my own advice. And I'm telling all these law students, do the scary things.
Yeah.
Well, this was my scary thing.
Yeah.
It's really hard to leave a steady, stable job and then go bet on yourself. But it was time. I knew I could be a lawyer. I had all the lawyer skills. Like, that part was easy. But I had never been a business owner. And I've been working for other people my whole life. And I decided it's time I work for myself. And I can run these cases how I want to do them. I can hire the experts I want to hire. I can communicate with my clients how I want, all the things. Like, it becomes my control and not having to necessarily do it somebody else's way.
Awesome. So tell everybody a little bit about your practice. Like, have you thought of a name? Like, do you have, I know it's very recent, but like what you do have, like, we'd like to link to it and promote it. So you're 8 days in, but like, how would people find you? I don't know if you have a website up. If you don't, it's okay. Like, it's only 8 days in. So that takes time. But tell everybody maybe a little bit about your practice and where it'll be, what kind of cases you're looking to work on or could help people with, that type of thing.
Yes, thank you for asking. So I started branding myself a couple years ago, and my brand is the Louisiana Law Lady, and that is the name of my firm. And it's also the name of my website, lalawlady.com. So I do have a website up.
Awesome.
And my practice has always mostly been motor vehicle wrecks. Over the last probably 10 years, it's transitioned more into trucking wrecks. And that just became my passion.
Gotcha.
I started getting trucking cases, and I realized that there was more there to flesh out. And I wasn't doing it in the beginning.
Yep.
And that's when I really went down the trucking hole and joined trucking organizations, started going to trucking CLEs. I'm on the board of some trucking things. I went to trucking school so I could learn how to drive tractor trailers. I'm all in.
Awesome. I love it. And so we got your website. Are you on social media? Yes.
Yes. I'm on all the things.
Look for Louisiana Law Lady. That's
Yes.
how we'll find Lauren. We're really excited for you, and congratulations going out on your own. Obviously, as I told you off air, anytime my phone, you have my number. Anything I can do to help you. I'm a big believer in a growth mindset and helping other people and doing that type of thing. So anything that our firm can do to help you and building up your practice, like, we're more than excited to help you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been overwhelming, actually, the amount of support I've already gotten.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so before I let you go, there's two more questions I have for
Okay.
you. Number one, I want to know, what is your superpower, Lauren? Like, maybe that one unique skill set. We're all different. We all have different skills and unique traits and that type of thing. But what do you think is the one thing about you that's kind of helps you become this very successful personal injury litigator that you become?
So aside from all of the law things, I thought about that question, and I think my actual superpower is being able to connect with my clients. A client doesn't necessarily know how good of a lawyer you are.
Yep.
I know I'm good, but they don't always know that. It's
Yep.
hard for people to assess the skills of a lawyer. A lot of times people just kind of think they're all the same. But they know how I make them feel. And I was able early on to figure out that I could develop very good and deep relationships with my clients early on, because they have to trust their lawyer. Like, it just doesn't work if you can't talk to each other.
Yep.
All of my clients have my cell phone number. They're very respectful with it. I don't get calls at midnight from people, but we text frequently. I always answer their questions. If they call me, I text them back and say, I'm in a meeting. I'll be done at 9:30. Call you then. And just having that open line of communication has been huge in my practice, because it enables me to connect with my clients, which enables me to work better on their cases, because then I know their lives.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it is, I know it's a superpower. I mean, just getting to be friends with you, you always made me feel very welcome, and you've always been very kind to me. And so, like, it's one of the things we talk about here a lot is, like, hospitality and how we make our clients feel. I always joke with the team, we were talking about it at the beginning of this week. It's like, I have to say it again. Like, if you look up the complaints in Louisiana, the number 2 complaint is theft of client funds. Number 1 is communication.
Yes.
So clients are less mad that their lawyer stole their money than that they'll communicate with them.
Right.
So it's infuriating to me and
it's so easy.
It's so easy. It's the easiest thing, and it's honestly, I think, the most. Obviously, there's a lot of things that go into a successful law firm and a case being successful for the individual client, but the communication is number 1.
Yeah.
Because they have to know, they have to understand what's happening, and so I really love that answer. But besides that, before I let you go, one more. What is your favorite book?
So we talked about this a little bit off air, and I was trying to think of like a fancy book or a business book. But honestly, my absolute favorite book is The Prince of Tides. I read it in high school. It's one of the few books I've read multiple times in my life. It's old. It's by Pat Conroy. It's just a fiction book, but it's got a great story, and it just pulls you in, and I love a good story.
Awesome. Well, I had never read it, like I told you off air. So now that the other selfish reason of this question is I like to pick up, whenever we do a show, I like to pick up a good book to read. So it's on my list.
Okay, good.
Once again, Lauren, congrats on going out on your own. We're so excited for you and excited to see where that journey takes you.
Thank
you.
you.
And thank you for being on the Overrule podcast. It was
of course.
fun
Thank you for
talking to
having me.
All right. And thank you all for listening. This has once again been an exciting episode of the Overrule podcast brought to you by the Scott Vignair Law Firm. We look forward to being with all of you next time, and have a great day.
Scott Vignair, injury attorneys, we fight for the win.
Information is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute tax, investment, or legal advice. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action.